Hey everybody, happy Wednesday and welcome back to the 14-day photo artist journey. I'm so excited to be here and I'm really excited about our guest today. Super excited. Um and I'm yesterday's call was amazing. That took a twist. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to go back and check that out because Maria is all kinds of awesome and that was a great call. So anyways, welcome back. I'm glad that you're here. I'm going to go over some stuff that we talk about every day. So, as we've talked about, this 14-day photo artist journey is an opportunity for all of us to grow and learn together in a very safe space. During the journey, we're going through 4 phases. The first one is self-awareness, right? So we need to look in the mirror, be aware, kind of take stock of the places where we're awesome and commend ourselves for that. But also take stock of the places where perhaps we need to grow or take a look at our obstacles, ascertain if they are perceived or if they are real, and then figure out how we're going to get past those. So that takes us to phase 2. And phase 2 is learning all about vulnerability. Good morning, everyone who's saying hi to me. Learning about vulnerability, really leaning into it in this environment, which is a very safe space for you guys. And then making an agreement with ourselves to go ahead and be vulnerable because by doing that, we are going to grow. And then the next phase that we move into is fortitude and bravery. And I've told you guys this before, and I'm going to say it again. I used to think bravery was people who went out there and did amazing things out in the world in the absence of fear. But what I learned probably in my early to mid 20s was that these people who are brave and bright and bold and do amazing things in the world, they're not out there operating in the absence of fear. They're actually out there scared, uncomfortable, nervous, outside of their comfort zone, but they're doing it anyways. And that's why they do these beautiful things that, a lot of us don't do because we're afraid to step outside of our comfort zone. So these 3 phases, they are a continuum. This is not a one and done. This is a continuous. It's something that we have to do on a regular basis. This week, I've probably done it 300 times. Like it's been a week already and it's just Wednesday. So it happens a lot. But when you start programming yourself to work this way, it becomes easier to step outside of your comfort zone and do things that are going to help you grow and flourish. So obviously it's a good thing to do. And then we're going to move into the vision portion, which is where we're creating our own unique vision. Because we've done the first 3 phases, then we're going to start working on our vision and the life that we want to create and live and the work we want to create and put out in the world and the business that we want to grow and have. So as we work through the first 3 phases, we inevitably are much more clear on our vision and can execute more effectively when we do that. So if you haven't done it already, you're going to want to go to the 14-day photo artist journey page. If we could drop a link in the comments, I would appreciate that. And you guys are going to go there, you're going to register, and you're going to download the book that I created for this. And it is a companion book that has a bunch of journal prompts, and it's going to help you get through. It's super awesome. And you guys should all have it. And plus, if you are registered, everyone who registers gets a 20 by 30 print from ProPrints, who is one of our brand ambassadors here. And they are amazing. And so really quickly, I always want to talk about our supporters of artists, these companies that are amazing and support the artist journey and our growth as artists. So like I said, ProPrints is going to be giving away a 20 by 30 canvas wrap print to every single person who signs up. That's amazing. I mean, to go do it for that alone. My goodness, that's awesome. We have a 10% coupon code from Backdrops by Jeremy Ellsworth. And this goes out in all of your emails. The email code is PAJ10. That's good through May 15th. The Stella Pro kits, which I just currently purchased myself, are on sale right now. So you want to go and check them out. And they're going to be giving away a prize at the end when we all go into the competition phase of this. Me personally, I'm launching the Art of Emotion again. And so everyone who is interested in solving the posing problem forever is going to want to go check out that. And that is dbirdsong.com/ AOE23. If we can drop a link for that, that would be awesome too. My phone is not on silent, you guys. I'm sorry. 1 second. Talk about not being perfect, huh? That's me, not perfect. And then we have AIBP, which is an excellent community to be a part of. You guys have heard me talk about them every single day. They are giving a 10% discount to join their community, and that is AIBP SD 2023. It is a really awesome community to be a part of. I'm a part of it. I've participated in there quite a bit. I like that community. You can't find a lot of good communities on the Book of Faces. A lot of them get a little funky. This one does not. It's really good. Okay, and then Homespun Heart is doing a 10% coupon with the code JOURNEY, and that's going to expire on May 5th. And then I want to thank you to all of our speakers and amazing artists who are coming on. We have Jacqueline Tobin, Lacey Morgan, Kiade was with us. Today we have Sean Black. That's exciting. Aaron Blackwell is going to be coming on. Yesterday we talked to Maria, and that was an amazing conversation. Can you guys believe that she was a wrestler? Where did that come from? That was so awesome. Betsy McHugh Gibson, Sakara Raven Birdsong. That's a familiar name, huh? Elena Marr, Leon Johnson, and Aphrodite Maid. And so with that, you guys kind of know the other stuff. Today, someone is going to be getting a 32 by 48 canvas from ProPrint. So every day when I'm live, I'm giving one of those away. But you need to be present and you need to be asking questions and engaged, and then we will randomly choose from the people who are participating. So without further ado, actually, hold on, let me get my questions ready. That would be helpful, huh? Okay, there we go. Okay, now I got my questions. Let's bring in Mr. Sean Black. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Denise. I think it's morning. I have no clue because I'm traveling. I'm actually in Vegas right now. So my brain thinks it's the afternoon and the clock says it's morning.
Yeah, well, I guess depending where we are. You're on the West Coast, so it is still morning for us. Could be any time zone for everybody else, but for me and you, good morning, sir. What are you doing in Vegas?
I actually have 3 clients flying in on Friday for desert shoots.
Oh, awesome. Man, I want to get back out to the desert, but not at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No, we're doing sunset instead of sunrise, and it's actually the same lake bed that we'll be at.
Oh, that's awesome. For those of you who don't know what Sean and I are talking about, we were both recently invited to be part of the ProPrints Legends in Portrait Photography. And we did a competition shoot in the desert, and it was super fun. But it would be awesome to go out there and just be able to shoot clients. That sounds amazing.
It's so much fun. This is the 3rd time that I've done it. We shoot part of the day in the desert from golden hour into purple hour, and then come back and shoot high up over the strip from one of the suites that we have.
Oh, I need to book a session. That sounds awesome.
They are definitely unique images.
You might want to drop a link and let us know how we can book a session for that next year. That sounds amazing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Sean, and a little bit about AIBP, and then we'll get into those tough questions that I have for you. Because can you tell I'm a tough interviewer?
Oh yeah, I ate my Wheaties this morning. Get ready for all the tough questions.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you came prepared.
Awesome. So about me, I'm Sean Black. I'm from Boston. I've been a full-time pro photographer now for 14 years. I've been shooting boudoir for 10 years now, actually this month. I'm not sure what day I launched my boudoir brand, but it was sometime in April. So I also plan to pop a bottle of champagne at some point out in the desert to celebrate that.
Awesome.
I started off as a wedding photographer, and that was my bread and butter. And after a couple of years of shooting weddings, I had clients asking me, do you do boudoir? I'm like, I really want to have a boudoir session to give to my significant other. And I said no, and I kept referring that money out. And then one day I sort of had this epiphany of, why am I sending this money elsewhere? It's a whole nother revenue stream. So I started to do my research into what boudoir was and really started to do my education, because by the time I made the decision to move towards boudoir, I had already established myself as a wedding photographer. I had started to win some awards and gain some recognition, and I didn't want to have my wedding work up here and then come in with boudoir like somewhere down here and not have the two brands match. So I did a ton of education of what there was 10 years ago, very little. But back then I read all of Krista Miola's books, and just tried to find as much as I could out there. I also joined AIBP pretty much right out of the gate and got as much as I could right away out of that from the level I was at. So I started shooting, and it started out as just, it was a gift. It was about pretty pictures. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. I can light. I can make a pretty picture. And that's all it was. It was a gift. It wasn't about her. It wasn't about creating any sort of change. It wasn't about empowerment. And then a couple months later, I had my first non-wedding client. And that's when things changed. And I started to realize exactly how fucked up our media, our culture, our society, other women are, as far as saying, you can't be beautiful unless you're this. You can't be sexy unless you're that. If you're this age, you can't do this. If you're this size, you can't do that. And it's all bullshit. And this all sort of coincided with the fact that I had gotten married a year earlier and we had just had my daughter. So my whole world and sort of attachment to the female side of my world was greatly changed. And I didn't want either my wife, Michelle, or my daughter, Eva, to ever not feel beautiful or strong or confident or sexy. My daughter can never feel sexy, Michelle, anytime she wants. But it was about starting to evoke change and making it a better world for not only Michelle and Eva, but every woman that came in front of my lens. And that became sort of my whole philosophy behind the brand. It was no longer about pretty pictures. The whole "Be bold, be sexy, be you" tagline was born, and that's sort of the cement behind what I do. And it's just grown to the point where weddings kept getting less and less, boudoir kept getting more and more, and then the universe, pandemic, all the things shifted, where I went from being mostly boudoir with some weddings to I had no weddings on 2020, obviously because of the pandemic, and I was okay with it. I had 3 that I had to reschedule. I shot those and finished those last year, and I am now 100% or 99% a boudoir photographer. I still take on a couple of other commercial projects just to stretch my brain in a totally different way of shooting.
So these interviews have been awesome for the audience because they're getting to know people within the industry that, Sean Black is a big name in the industry. So they're getting to know people that they admire, they respect, they look up to, they think like, oh my God, like he just arrived on the scene, like genius. Like, how do I ever get to that point? Right. So it's been really good for the audience who's watching to like get to know you guys. But I know you and I didn't know that story. So these have been really good for me too. So thank you for your time for everyone who's here, but me too. I didn't know that that was how you got into boudoir. And I think that that's incredibly beautiful. I've always had an affinity for you, but that just makes me love you even more. That's awesome, Sean. Thank you for doing that for Michelle and for Eva and for all of the women that you work with. That's an amazing mission, an amazing reason to be in this. And I'm really like, I think it's amazing that as opposed to, and you had the awareness to know I'm winning awards in weddings. I can't show up in boudoir, just kind of like, oh dear. And so you did go and do a lot of like continued education. And back then there wasn't that much, probably some Creative Live, like you said, Miola was out there. But AIBP too. So let's talk about that because recently you made some big moves around that. You're not just a member of AIBP anymore.
No. So I joined AIBP 10 years ago in 2013. It was established in 2009. So it had been around for a little while. And it was one of the best sources of boudoir information and community at the time. So I grew with that, and then they launched their overall sort of retreat schedule where once a year they'd have a boudoir retreat in November. And I went to every single one of those except for one that I had gotten hit by a car the week beforehand. So I had a slightly sprained lower back and decided, yeah, I'm going to bow out instead of cramming myself into a plane for a couple of hours to get there. So did all of that. And I know without AIBP, I wouldn't be where I am as an artist, as a business person, and where I am within the industry. So a couple of years ago, the previous ownership group, they sort of had lost their passion and were not doing as much as they should have been. And I started to see things slide. And then the pandemic came and things started to slide even more. And I knew if I didn't step in, AIBP was going to disappear. And where it was such a big part of my growth and my journey, I didn't want to let that happen. So in August of 21, myself and Michelle acquired AIBP. And ironically, I was in Vegas during WPPI when they moved it to August, when we got the call that we became the official new owners. So a lot of things happen when I'm in Vegas, I guess.
Yeah, I met you on that trip. That was the first time that we met in person too. Yeah, I was a little gobsmacked. I was like, oh, it's Sean Black. Did a little bit of fangirling there. Well, congratulations on that. And thank you for doing that, because I used AIBP as a resource as well when I was starting out. But I saw things changing too, and I kind of left the group. And when we were in Las Vegas and I found out that you were taking over AIBP, and then we had subsequent conversations about all the things that you were going to be doing, I immediately joined again. Like, have my money, like have all of my money, Sean, 'cause I totally want to be part of this community. So I am a member of the community as well. And it's an excellent community to be in. So why don't you talk a little bit about, I know this is all about AIBP right now, but I want people to have like places where they can go where it's safe, because you and I both know, having been in the industry for as long as we've been in this industry, Facebook groups pop up all the time. We've seen some disastrous shit happen. Like, we've seen love. And we know that oftentimes these groups, there's like a lot of infighting, a lot of witch hunts, a lot of cattiness, a lot of just like not people being like-minded and coming together and growing. And I think that's human nature. That happens whenever you put a whole bunch of people together. But then you have these special places where you have people who run these groups who set the example and set the tone for what the group is going to be like and what the community is going to be like. And you've done a beautiful job doing that in AIBP. It's such an inviting, warm group. It doesn't matter what level of photography you're at, whether you are like a wedding photographer still or a portrait photographer and you're not sure if you want to get into boudoir or not, or if you're a seasoned professional like myself who still finds value in the group and the community. There's a place for all of us within that community. Mine too, by the way, but also AIBP, very much an AIBP. So why don't you tell us a little bit about like what we do in AIBP?
So ultimately, what we've now rebranded in our sort of hashtag is create, learn, connect. And there's one other aspect of it that is more geared towards Michelle and I, and that is advocate. So create, obviously, we want to push everyone as artists. We have opportunities to be published, to win awards in image competitions, and be recognized within the industry and your community. Learn, we provide education, monthly webinars for our members. We have our retreat and other just different opportunities to learn. And we try and put out as much good quality vetted education, not just, oh, here's a guide with a secret sauce, because there is no secret sauce. It's trial and error, it's failure, it's figuring things out over the years. And as we talked about before we went on, I don't ever want any of my students to get the shot right away. I want them to fall on their face. I want them to fail epically, because we learn through failure. We don't learn through success. If you succeed at something, you move on to the next thing, but you don't necessarily know how you succeeded. Connect, obviously, we have a very very solitary job where it's generally us, our makeup artist and assistant, and the client in the studio. So it's not like we have water cooler talk. And not even other photographers necessarily know what we deal with and some of the things that we need to vent about, because we have a very different element that comes into our photography versus a regular portrait artist, where we're dealing with a lot of intimate issues, the vulnerability of our clients, and a lot of other photographers don't get that. So having a place where you can go in and bounce questions or just vent or talk to someone who's been through it and get answers from them. And then lastly, the advocate is, this is where we definitely differ from any other group, is because we are the only ones out there within the industry talking to major sponsors, talking to major conferences in order to try and get better education at imaging, WPPI, Shutterfest, all of the major conferences, where it used to be wedding photographers who shot maybe 3 or 4 boudoir sessions a year and came in to teach a boudoir class. Now, I'm proud that this past WPPI, every single boudoir class was taught by a full-time boudoir photographer. And this coming year, already talking to them about things coming up to further education and work with things like that. The fact that ClickCon in Chicago, they, same thing, have all full-time boudoir photographers. Imaging, they're still a little bit stuck in their ways, and trying to work on them. But that's one of the big differences, is that I'm talking to the heads of these organizations behind the scenes, trying to evoke change within that, as well as talking to major companies and sponsors, so that we're not looked at as the redheaded stepchild of the photography industry. So that when you go to someone and you're looking for a product, they're not looking at boudoir as, oh, nope, that's porn, we don't want to touch that. I'm like, it's creating awareness as to what we actually do within the industry, and that we're not something to be shunned, that we are some of the top earners within the photography industry. And we should be treated as such.
Yeah, you guys have done an amazing job advocating for legitimizing this genre, and I know myself personally, I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful. So thank you for all of that work that you do. I don't know about the people in here, but me personally, I've judged several photo submissions for AIBP now. I think like 4 or 5 or something like that, where I've been responsible for choosing, the images, 1, 2, and 3. But do you know that I have not submitted?
That right there is wrong.
I know. That's why I'm saying it in front of everybody, because it's an obstacle of mine. I'm apprehensive and a little nervous to submit my work. So if any of you out there are feeling the same way, you're not alone. And I am going to make a commitment to start submitting my work to AIBP competitions regularly. And I will publicly announce when I'm doing that, so you guys can all hold me accountable. You too, Sean, if you're not seeing anything from me, go ahead and call me out. But I would encourage you guys to do the same. I know that every time I do judging on the images, I let the people know, first place, like why I chose this image, second place, why I chose this image, and third place, why I chose this image. And I think generally speaking, you get some pretty good feedback on your images. Is that correct, Sean? With the other judges as well? Yeah.
The judges that we choose are all seasoned photographers, and we want them to literally help you out and grow with it and give you feedback as to what they're seeing. Because again, we all have different eyes, and you're going to see something different in an image that I'm going to see that Judge X is going to see. So it's why, one, we try and switch up our judges regularly so that every month we have someone new. Because it gives a different perspective, and it also means that you're not going to see not only one favoritism among the images if it's just one judge choosing over and over again, but you're going to see a different sort of selection and variety of images because of that different mind's eye that everyone has. So it'll give this wider breadth of what our community sees as boudoir and sees as top level boudoir.
Yeah. I was sitting here thinking like, oh God, I got to make sure that when I submit, Sean doesn't do the judging because of my lighting, right? Because I'm not the lighting master that you are. And as I was thinking that to myself, I was like, no, you know what? When I submit, Sean probably should be the judge. That's the person who should probably be looking at my work because that's a place where I need to grow the most. Anyway, I would encourage all of you who are apprehensive about doing something like that, like let's jump in and do it. I'm going to do it. We're doing it here on the 14-day artist journey. We should be doing it in places like AIBP as well. Okay, so now let's get down to the stuff that you ate your Wheaties for, right? So I need you, all of these people are looking at you like, wow, okay, so he's been in this industry for, you said 14 years, right? Ton of it now, boudoir.
Yep.
You've been at this for a long time. You've got a very well-established studio. You are all over the place speaking and educating. You are running AIBP. You're kind of a pretty big rock star, right? And it's very easy to look at someone like that and think, oh, I'm never going to attain that. Or, oh, it's just been easy for him. Like he's just got the skills that I don't naturally have. And you and I both know that's bullshit, right? But in
Completely.
current society, especially with social media, we're also ridiculously curated. I've used this example a bunch of times when we were at the Pro Prince competition and they asked me, did you have any challenges? You know what I said? No. What? Oh my God, I threw up that morning before we went out and shot because I was so nervous to go be shooting against people like you who I knew were going to bring all the lighting, right? I had all kinds of challenges, but we're so programmed to like show up so professionally, right? And everything is so curated that no one really sees the journey part of this. And that is the most important part because you don't get to be the Sean Black rock star unless you fall on your face a whole bunch of times and skin your knees and get hit by cars and
Yes.
shit like and stuff like that, right? That's how we get to those places. So, two things I really want to talk to you about. The first thing is like, I want to hear about something or some things where you just, like you said, you want your students to like, you on the call with me, you said monumentally fuck up, right? I want them to monumentally fuck up and then learn from it, right? So, where's a place where you have monumentally failed and it really brought about change?
For me, the monumental failure is sort of twofold. There's one on the business side of things, and this is sort of failure, but sort of not. It was when I started out, like I said, I'd been married for a little over a year. We just had our first child, Eva. And when I said, yeah, I'm going to launch into boudoir, Michelle was 100% supportive of it. And then when the brand actually launched and I started shooting was only a few months postpartum, and Michelle was no longer on board. And so my whole idea of what the brand was going to be shifted. And I didn't necessarily need to hide anything from her, but I shielded her from it because she just at that point didn't understand what it was. All she was seeing was pretty pictures, and her husband's in a room with half naked women and all of these things. So it went from that, and it went that along those lines for several years. It wasn't until probably 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago, that she started to become a part of the brand. Where I was at imaging in Atlanta, and I had actually just won AIBP's Rising Star Award, which was a big deal. I was all happy. Everyone, we were out for drinks that night, and she had called me, and we had this massive blowout fight. But it was one of the best things that could have happened for us as a couple and us as a business couple, because I still had 2 more days before I came home. She went and talked with one of her best friends who I had already actually shot. So this friend had had the experience with me and was recommended by Michelle to have me shoot her. And her friend said, "Has you ever given it 100% chance?" and gone all in. And Michelle was like, no. She's like, you need to give it 30 days all in. And so I got back and we had huge discussions as to what we were going to do. And she became a part of the brand, went all in. And well, now 5 years later, we own AIBP. And so that lets you know how it went. So that was one of those things where it was not necessarily a monumental failure, something that I set up on myself, but it was the business and Boudoir failing and falling on its face and figuring out how to navigate through that, because I was so passionate about it. She never could understand the why. And finally, like I said, it came to that head, and her friend was able to vocalize to her, and then she became part of it and got to see behind the curtain and realize exactly my why as to what I'm doing this and the passion that I have for it. And her becoming a part of it made me that much stronger as an artist, as a business person, and pushed me that much further ahead, because now I could never really market publicly on my personal pages or anything, because I didn't want her seeing it, not because I was hiding it, because just I didn't want her uncomfortable. So now it was okay, reins are off, and I was able to fully market and use all the tools that I knew. And we went from just steadily like this to when she came on board to like that. And when in 2020, we had planned to retire her from the corporate world to come work with me full time in the fall. And then something happened in the spring. I don't remember what it was, but her, at the beginning of the pandemic, her hotel ended up getting sold. She got laid off. And so we just moved up the timetable that she started being the studio manager and taking all of the back end work off of my plate, allowing me to be behind the camera more. And we went and had our most successful year to date in 2020, being shut down for 3 months. Topped that in 22. I'm sorry, topped that in 21, and did the same in 22. So having her become a part of it, and I apologize, I have no clue why there's a phone ringing in my hotel room.
Okay, we're used to this because of COVID. It's okay.
So yeah, it was one of those things that, taking that sort of failure that could have sunk me very early on, pushing through that and realizing that, yes, my passion for this is so strong that I need to keep doing this, and eventually she'll come around, or I'll be able to show her in some way. Yeah, it took a huge fight for it to happen, but like I said, it was one of the best things to ever happen to us overall. So yeah, that would probably be one of the biggest things that I've sort of hit the brick wall and been like, how do I get around this and still move forward?
Well, your solution of persevering and following your passion, but also being sensitive to your wife's needs, is incredible. So that's recognizing an obstacle and really like working your way through it and around it and getting it out of your way. By the way, if you guys don't know Sean's wife, you need to know Sean's wife. And I wish there was some kind of technology where we could clone her so we could all be married to her, because she's really awesome. We all need her. We all need Michelle as our wives. Like I would love to steal her from you and marry her. That would be awesome. She's amazing. She's a great part of the team. I mean, amazing part of the team.
Yeah, she's the one who, we always say, I'm like, I come up with a big idea and she makes it work.
Would you like to grab it?
Yeah, I think I need to answer that because this is the second time calling.
I'm going to put you in the green room for a second, and I'm going to take a look at questions. And that is life, you guys. So I'm going to go through these questions really quick and see if you guys are actually, you know what, if you guys can do me a favor, if you can throw any questions that you had in right now, if you can re-put them in for me so I can see them, that would be great. Let's see if I can answer any questions. I'm not seeing any. Earlier I saw you guys were looking for the code for AIBP. So let me give you guys that really quick. So anybody who is interested in signing up for AIBP, and again, it's a great community. It's AIBP SD 2023. So that's the code you get, and you will get 10% off your membership for a year. And they do awesome things year round. Oh, that's a good question, Sierra. I don't know. Let's ask Sean because he's back. Okay, Mr. Black, I was asking them to ask me questions while you were away.
All
And
right.
Sierra Wilson, who is already a member of AIBP, she says, if we're already a member of AIBP, can we use a code for a 1-month discount? I don't think you guys have it set up that way, do you?
It is not. It's on new memberships or renewing memberships.
Okay.
So if you are on the month-to-month plan and you go in and let your membership expire for the month, you can then use the code at that point. If you're on the yearly, you'll be able to take advantage of it at the next point in your yearly.
So hang on to that code, girl. Okay, and then Kristen Duncan said, do you get feedback on photos submitted in AIBP that are not selected as a winner?
The first, second, and third place get it. Sometimes the judge will pick honorable mentions and speak on things. It's something that in the image competition, I don't think I want to necessarily do that, but I've been throwing around the idea of doing a either bi-monthly or monthly image critique sort of live Zoom where people can submit.
I want to be part of that, Sean. I want to help. If you need it.
What I want to do is have something like this where I bring in a guest photographer every month or whatever we do it. And we both go over and see this way. You get two different views of what the image is. So it's something that, again, while sitting on the plane last night, I came up with this next thing that I wanted to implement. And I'll tell Michelle and she'll say, okay, this is what we have to do. And she'll bring it and rein it back in a little bit. But yeah, that is something because there's not a lot of that out there, especially for boudoir, where you can learn and critique. Because even in the image competitions, like Portrait Masters or Imaging or the new Icon Awards for WPPI, one, it's expensive to get image feedback, and two, there's not a lot of actual boudoir judges that are judging these, so they're looking at it from a different level of perspective, where they are a portrait photographer. But I've found when it comes to Portrait Masters, a lot of times, if you put them on a bed or any sort of furniture, it's not going to score well. But if you shoot them against the backdrop, they're going to score very well. If it's more towards the fine art nude end of the spectrum, it's going to score very well. Because the last time I submitted for Portrait Masters, I submitted very specific images to see what they would do, and I knew which one was going to score the highest. Not because I thought it was my best image, but because of the type of image it was. So it's interesting, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on, both for competitions that are out there, but possibly putting together an AIBP boudoir specific, large scale, sort of yearly image competition.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting the biases that are had, which is, I think, why it's important to have multiple judges, because we're all looking for different things, right? So obviously Portrait Masters is a very specific genre and they have what they like, right? And you as an artist have what you like, and I as an artist have what I like. And so I think it's nice that you have, rotating judges in there giving the feedback that they do. And I love the idea of regular critiques. I was doing that at the beginning of this year. It kind of felt I've got 5 million plates spinning. Yeah, a lot going on. Okay, so we know that I suck at lighting. You spanked me so hard. We both shot Asterios in your studio. So last November, I was one of the featured educators at the AIBP retreat, which was awesome. I had such a great time. It was so much fun. It's amazing community. Everybody was incredible. And when I teach, I do not pick up my camera because of the horrible experiences I've had at workshops myself, where educators, they put on a workshop, but then they want to get their portfolio images, right? And everybody has to wait on them, and they don't want to do that. So I didn't even bring my camera to teach, right? Like I didn't bring it. And we were at the last day, you guys. It was awesome. We were at the last day, and Sean had brought in a male model. And a lot of people, I think it was a Monday, right, Sean? So it was one of those situations where a lot of people had already left. The class was a little bit smaller. And I think you saw me chomping at the bit. I think you saw like all of my nervous energy when you brought in these people to shoot. And Sean very kindly handed me his camera and said, go for it. And I was like, oh my God, really? I get to? And I probably spent about 10-15 minutes shooting like a maniac, not knowing how to use Sean's camera. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't check any of the settings. It was a nightmare. But I just played and I had so much fun. And I just had a wonderful time shooting with Asterios. And then I'm editing all of my images. And then all of a sudden, Sean throws up a photo that he took of Asterios. And I was just like, oh, man, I'm not even going to put my images up now. It was so beautifully lit. It was just fantastic. And I'm not used to working in your studio, and I didn't use any lights. I just pulled a couch near the window in this big black cave of a studio that you have, which is absolutely beautiful. But that was a good experience for me too. And I then did post my images, and I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to post those images today in the group. Sean, can you do me a favor? Can you have that image up maybe in the strip down group, and then I'll throw it up as well. So people can see like different perspectives from different artists and how we work differently. And so even though I was like, damn, that lighting though, I was like, well, you know what? That's okay. I'm a different kind of artist, and I'm going to go ahead and put my work up, and it's valid too. I think I only put up one image, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put up that whole series today. So you guys be watching for that. We will do that. People are asking if you teach lighting. Sean does. He's incredible at it. Like he paints with light like Rembrandt. Like it's beautiful the way that you use light. Let's talk about that for a minute. You couldn't have always been good at that. At some point you had to suck. I want to hear that. Don't even. Are you serious? You just were good at lighting?
It was one of those things that I started out wanting to be a creative very, very young. So probably back when I was in kindergarten, I wanted to be the next Steven Spielberg or Robert Zemeckis. I wanted to go into video. I wanted to be a director. I wanted to produce. And I was and still am a huge movie buff. I pull tons of inspiration from movies. And so I delved into making movies because, again, I'm a child of the 80s. I had the big on the shoulder camcorder and was constantly making little home movies and stuff like that. So I sort of understood lighting per se from a very young age. And then I forged my education in one singular direction, to my parents' dismay. Because they're like, oh my God, you're going to make a living as an artist. And so I went in high school, I took television production classes, and I applied to 4 different colleges, all of which were the top television and film production schools in the country at the time. And I went to Boston University. I went through their TV and film production program. That's where I may have sucked at lighting when I first got introduced to real artificial lights.
Yeah, I was going to say just that. It's not that you've always been good at lighting. I mean, listen to all of the work that you put into learning and understanding lighting and how it creates a mood and how it affects how you feel when you're seeing, whether it be a still image or a moving image, because you were interested in film. So no, yeah, you probably did suck there, but you did the thing. You did the work. Like that's way more work than most of us are going to put into learning lighting. We're not going to go to a bunch of universities and be trained as cinematographers or directors or understand how to create film. So that's a tremendous amount of work that you put into doing that. And I mean, those are the kind of things we don't necessarily need to put in as much work as Sean did because we don't want to make films, but we can learn some of the techniques that Sean learned from that background and not be so afraid of it. I think I'm talking to myself right now. Not be so afraid of it and start applying those things to our work as well, because it's beautiful. I just did a whole new class for the strip down, the next strip down iteration, that is like drawing inspiration from film, and I'm talking about cinematography directors and cinematographers. I need to know who your favorite director and cinematographer are.
Um, Favorite director, probably Urban Kershner, who did Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Um, it's just little things in the way that he tells us or told the story in his work. But again, I love all the big epic names. It's like Zemeckis, Spielberg, Coppola. It's all the masters. Like they're that level for a reason, and I've always believed that surround yourself with the people that you want to be with or be like. And so I've gone and learned from what I could in the best, whether it be in the photography industry. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Craig Lemaire. He is another absolute lighting god, and he was the one of the lighting instructors at the very first AIBP retreat. And I made sure that the way the retreat was set up that year was it was at a private estate where most of the attendees stayed. The instructors stayed at another mansion down the street, and there was a few attendees that stayed there. I made sure I got into that one, and I remember the very first night, Craig had one of the models at like 2 in the morning shooting her in the foyer, and I just sat in the corner and I watched. And for me, that's how I learn. I'm like, I love being that fly on the wall and watching someone else and figuring out, okay, not how am I going to copy it? How am I going to incorporate that and put my spin on it and make it mine and do it better for
Yeah.
what I want it to do? And those are the types of experiences that I like to create with my classes. Part of the reason why I spend so much time learning lighting and whatnot is I love it. I love what it can do. And again, it's the essence of what we all do, whether you shoot with strobes or not. Photography is capturing light.
Yeah. It is
So,
painting with light. You're right. Yeah. Um, so I'm big on drawing inspiration from other art forms, and I think it's an incredible way for us to learn as artists. And we teach a lot of that in the Art of Strip Down. So one of my favorite directors, who is also a cinematographer, he did double duty because he was such a control freak, is Kubrick.
oh,
And and Barry Lyndon. Like, if you are watching this call, and would you agree with me that film is like, if you want to learn something about lighting, that
oh yeah.
even if you just want to, like, you're perhaps you're not going to learn how to recreate it, but you want to be inspired by lighting, it's 3 hours long. It's a
Oh
long
yeah.
film, but it's amazing. Do you know that he bought up, there was the particular camera that he used, he bought up every single existing camera that was like that, had all of the lenses cut off of them, and then had NASA build him these extremely low light lenses for him to shoot that film. And there was no artificial light in that film. It was all, the whole film looks like a painting. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Like,
It's you go back to the 60s and filmmaking in the 60s and early 70s,
yeah.
where you have all of uh, these big names. You have Coppola, you have Kubrick, you have Scorsese. They were all coming out of film school at that point, and they were revolutionizing the industry and how things were shot. Um, it's even you go back, and I've been inspired by like Hitchcock
Oh yeah.
and the way that his stuff is lit and just the way that it evokes emotion and just through the light. Um, it's I love going back and watching old 1920s, 1930s era. One of my favorite films ever is Casablanca, and just
Oh.
seeing all of the things there. Um, it's it's going back and drawing inspiration from different things and watching. I'll watch a film once for entertainment. I'll watch it again to sit there and pick it apart lighting wise and see like, okay, what did they do here, or why, or what did this lighting choice do? So it's really cool to see how that sort of changes our different perspective as we go about creating our own images.
Yeah, and I think if you are looking to become more aware of lighting, film is a really good place to go and look. Obviously, Sean, they're asking for your socials and stuff like that in the comments. They want to follow you. We'll put that all up for you guys after the fact, unless you have time to do it right now, Sean. But going back and watching films and watching the use of color and how it affects the way that you're feeling. And wasn't it Hitchcock who first pioneered the one shot?
Yes.
So watching things like that, like that's always like watching how people like the not just the lighting but the composition and the crops and the pace and the whole one shot. And oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever about, okay, we should probably get off films because I could talk forever about this. But this is a great way for you guys to like, you know, go and start becoming more aware. We go back to that phase one, awareness. Go build some awareness around things that you like, and then can you do them and how do you get to doing them? Okay, so we just have a couple minutes left. I want to open this up so that people can actually ask you questions. Okay, let's see. So they want your socials. Put them in there for me so they can follow you, love.
Any of you feel free to follow or friend me on Facebook. First off, it's Sean Black, and it's my picture that is the profile, so I'm easy to find. And my socials are Insta.
Someone, the Erica Lee Caruso says, what the hell kind of genes do you need to just be good at picking up lighting? I totally agree, Erica. But I don't think it's just genes. I mean, clearly,
I wear
Sean,
Levi's.
like, he made it to, in the beginning. He kind of did what I did at the Pro Prince thing. He was like, "Oh yeah, I've always been good at it," right? But the truth is, he put a lot of time, effort, work, and energy into building those muscles and building that knowledge and building that skill set.
Yeah, and ProPrint showing up after sun came up totally blew my idea because I needed the sun to still be down to do what I wanted to do with lights. So yeah, it's about adapting. So it's not always, oh, your ideal thing is going to happen. Yeah, I had a plan. That plan went out the window and the bus driver blew past the location. And it was like, all right, we're going to MacGyver this shit now and hopefully come up with something good.
Yeah, I'm sure you came up with beautiful stuff. And I was out there with one camera body, one lens, and no lights. Yep. Okay, let's see. So they want to know more about your teaching lighting. Where can they find information on that, love?
I'm going to be putting up my schedule on the Couture Black website, the For Photographers page. We just had to actually take it down, and we're modifying it. So all of my teaching schedule will be there. If, like I said, you follow me on Facebook, I post all of my engagements. But right now, next month I'll be in Dallas. I haven't announced that yet. I'll be in Pennsylvania in July. I'll be at ClickCon in August. I am going to be in Portugal in October, and I'm teaching at the AIVP retreat in November in Boston.
Awesome.
I do private mentorships and all of that. So do not hesitate to message me on Facebook if you've got questions. I am more than open to talking. Anyone who's been in one of my classes or anything before, I am not one of those instructors that's like, oh, class is over. Bye, peasants. I will sit there and talk forever, especially if I have one of these in my hand.
And he always does. He always does. Let's give them look. Yeah, look, he's got one in each hand. He does not mess around. This man and his coffee. It's a thing, you guys. I think we should give them a challenge where they can go epically freaking fail today. I think we should. I think you come up with a challenge idea, and I have an idea too. But I want you to come up with an idea where they could go fail and be okay with it and like learn from it.
The tough thing is not knowing what they have as far as if they don't have any artificial lighting.
Okay, well, maybe let's use natural lighting. How about if they have to take any object from their house? They have to find something. I'm looking around on my desk. They have to find something. This is so blown out. Whatever. Okay. They have to find something around, right? And they
Yep.
have to go put it, like, go shoot it with flat light, right? And then shoot it like side lit and then backlight it. Take it into every single lighting scenario that you can find in your house. It can be a lipstick. I mean, it can be whatever. It can be your Mac paint pot. Who cares? We don't care what it is, right? Just go and shoot it in a bunch of different natural light scenarios and see what happens. Like, see what
And
you
then
can.
my part of it is forget if they have strobes or flashes or anything like that. If they do, great, they can use that. If not, I'm looking just behind me. Take a light, artificial light, and light it that way. Do all the same things that Denise just asked you to do with natural light. Then go and do it. Find a darker room where the ambient's not going to be taken over by natural light, and the main light source is going to be, it can be a wall lamp, something like that. Hell, it can be a flashlight.
Yeah.
It can be your iPhone light, whatever it may be. Use an artificial source of light and do all of the same things and see what the difference looks between the two sources. You're going to start to see a difference between harder light and softer light, between the natural and the artificial.
Yeah. This is a great idea. So just go look at this stuff, guys. Just go do it and look at it. And then post your pictures in here so we can see them. We're going to want to see them. You can at me, you can at Sean, and that will be awesome. Mr. Black, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. You guys, if again, an amazing community, and just know, neither Sean nor I nor any other person that you might look up to, respect, admire, it didn't just happen. We weren't just born with those genes. It did take work, and it did take.
It is a journey completely.
It takes stepping outside of our comfort zone. It takes feeling. I've done so much of it. It's not even funny. It's the reason I am where I am. And I need to go fail some more. Like, my goal is to just go have fun, be safe with it. I mean, just kidding. I want to fuck shit up. Like, I want to go fail, right? I don't want to be safe. I want to have fun, and I want to try things that are outside of my comfort zone so that I can do even more and feel more rooted in my artistic self. And I think AIB Play is a great place for you guys to go and have that kind of community. Sean's excellent at lighting. If you're looking to learn, you definitely want to follow this man. And again, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for sponsoring this event as well. We appreciate how much you advocate and really support the artist journey.
Nope, I am completely invested in making this a better world for us as boudoir photographers. I know it has been a long journey, just one, developing as an artist, developing as a business person, but seeing what the industry and how it needs to be changed. And I'm proud to be able to represent all of the AIBP members and the boudoir genre as a whole. And yes, this is the last plug for AIBP, is the more members that we have behind me, the easier it is for me to go and advocate to these companies and say, hey, I'm representing a group of this many actual photographers. And ultimately, all the tangible benefits that we have within there, like there's discounts from people like the Law Tog. If you use one benefit, it basically pays for the entire year. So not only is that one of the things for you, but all the things we're doing behind the scenes for you to try and make it an easier road for you coming up, that we might not have had over the past 10, 15 years.
Yep. Get in there, guys. Get after it. Let's do this. Okay, we have a winner too, Sean. We have a winner of that. I keep forgetting the size. I think it's 32 by 48. Yeah, we have a winner of that 32 by 48 from ProPrints. And our winner today is Kristen Duncan. Kristen, let me know.
Congratulations, Kristen.
Yeah, well, we need to make sure she's still here with us.
I think I just saw her name scroll by.
Okay. Everyone is saying thank you so much for your support and for advocating for them. And everyone's talking about how much they love you. And Kristen has said, oh my God, she won. Okay, congratulations, Kristen. I'm glad that you won. Everybody, thank you so much for your time. Sean and I are incredibly grateful that you're here with us. And I think I speak for both of us when I say we're very humbled to be able to serve you in the ways that we do with the knowledge and information and education we share, as well as the communities and advocacy on Sean's part. So thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey. Sean, thank you for being here with me. Everybody go grab your object. Don't care what it is. Go shoot it in a bunch of different lighting scenarios. You don't have a flash or any lights, that's okay. Use your phone light, use a flashlight, use a lamp, whatever. We've given you ways to fail and grow today. So go fall on your faces and have fun with it. Okay, we'll see you guys later.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.